spouses who married the cool girl boy from your high school. What are they like now? My sister married the prom king starting running back from her high school. He got fat, but also is a nice dude who makes a killing running some kind of raw materials company. Doesn't talk about the past at all. My brother married the popular girl. She was homecoming queen, prom queen, on varsity teams, in band, an honor roll student, beautiful, and super nice. 17ish years and 2 kids later, she is still a sweetheart, beautiful, and athletic. I told my wife there is a question on our AskReddit she can actually respond to. I think I broke her because she hasn't stopped laughing. My dad was crazy popular, prom king, salutatorian, running back, serious ladies man. He met my mom in a nursing class in college which he took to meet girls, lecture course, and he was the only guy in a sea of women. This was the 70s. They married. He became a car salesman, developed a terrible drug habit and died of a heart attack at 52. Edit. The car salesman thing was in the 80s, so it was like American Psycho without all of the murder but with all of the sugar. All of it. I'm surprised there is any left. Edit 2. Thank you all for the kind words and interesting replies. Also, my first awards on Reddit would be from a random insomniac post. I was only around for the back half, but I can tell you my father was magnetic. Even in his later crispy drug-addled years he was still drawing people into his orbit with his awesome personality. Just flew too close to the sun, and then after years of therapy I could post about it at 3 AM on Reddit lol. My mum was the nerdy girl who got all the A's and had zero social skills, and somehow managed to start dating my dad, who was the popular, good-looking guy who everyone thought would peak in high school. She was actually advised by her family and friends that he wouldn't give her the future she was hoping for. They got married at 19, had me when they were 20, and while they were pretty broke the first few years of my life, he paid for my mum to attend law school, started his own business, and 25 years later with 3 kids, they're still so in love and have a pretty cushy life. My dad actually met one of the loud voices who told my mum she was making a big mistake marrying him, and she had said how she always knew he would turn out well, which he found hilarious. My high school friend was the cool guy. Everyone liked him. Guys and girls. He never got into fights, was always instantly invited everywhere, and girls totally swooned over him. He's still the same awesome dude. Hasn't changed a bit. He married an incredibly hot nurse. My husband was the prom king and star athlete. I was a super awkward marching band nerd with severe scoliosis and a heart condition. He's always been sweet, silly, smart and kind. Still can't believe we're married. Edit. I whipped up a proof collage. Edit 2. I'll add that we didn't go to the same high school, but we met in college. My confidence had drastically improved by then. I was still a dork though, and he was a college baseball player, pitcher. Honestly, we're both dorks. My dad was super popular, prom king, valedictorian, class president, football captain etc. He has a high ranking but normal role at a smallish to medium sized company. Pretty normal guy and a good dad. If brought up he will mention his high school years, but he doesn't brag. Didn't marry her, but we dated for a bit. She moved to Arizona for college, stayed there, then became a firefighter. Came out as gay and married a woman. We lost touch, but she seems happy. Edit. Great. My most upvoted comment on Reddit is how I couldn't please a woman. Found out recently, 30M, that my dad was extremely popular in high school from my aunt. I had no idea he was an all-star football player with lots of college offers and was prom and homecoming king. Never talks about it, but he's doing well. 2 kids, a dog, and a loving wife. He's still winning. Mom was the cool girl. Still is. Still literally gets stopped by strangers talking about how cool, pretty, whatever she looks acts. But divorced, husband cheated, and widowed. Second husband died. So never really managed to get a happily ever after in romance. I've only seen her as a grown up, of course. But going by pictures plus what I remember as a kid, she hasn't changed all that much. I think sometimes she's too used to people being in her orbit and will get sad if something happens where she's not involved. Not overtly so, but you can see she's expecting everyone to always want her there. I'm an introvert and he's an extrovert. I never knew what to say to him in high school because he was so cool and funny. He intimidated me. Now our differences complement each other I think and we're very happy. I had 2 kids with a former prom king. He's a crackhead now. Edit. This comment blew up overnight. Thanks so much everyone. It's comforting to know so many people can relate. Take care. My wife was the hot girl that everyone gossiped about. She's still super hot but is such a wonderful, supportive, loving person. It makes me sad no one took the time to get to really know her when she was young. My best friend was prom king 14 years ago. Now he owns a successful small business. Never had a girlfriend. Never had a boyfriend. Not sure about his sexuality but he's a kick-ass dude. Proud he calls me a friend as I'm an awkward introvert. Edit. Thanks for the award you camel cum. I've only met one camel in my life and we didn't hit it off. I married the cool girl. Super athletic. Everyone was her friend. We started dating in high school. She's kept up everything people loved about her. Nowadays she isn't as interested in other people and focuses on herself, her career, us and our future. We're planning to buy a house and have kids soon. I'm the breadwinner today but I'm not so sure if that'll be true in a few years lol. My mom was the elite Atlanta debutante and lived a very cushy life at a budding Miami country club. Beautiful and very popular at the private school. My dad grew up on a farm in Virginia. They weren't poor but they were definitely not refined. Eventually my father's family made it down to Miami after selling the farm. He became the lifeguard at the country club pool where my mom spent days lounging about. My parents say they saw each other and that was it. The scandal was great. The debutante and the lowly lifeguard. They just celebrated 54 years of marriage. My lowly lifeguard father made quite the life for my mom regardless of what all those elite twats said was going to happen. She gladly left the country club life for him and they are still so utterly in love it's crazy. He carries a photo of her at the pool where they met. The only references she makes to being that girl are that they proved everyone wrong. They are beautiful and I love their story. I'm the opposite of this question. I totally peaked in high school. Was cheerleading captain, valedictorian, prom queen, super involved and outgoing. Now I'm fat and very unnoticeable. Not pretty and maybe not ugly just bland. And incredibly shy and reserved. Don't really have any friends. But married my high school sweetheart. Who was quiet and mostly flew under the radar and now he is outgoing, successful, and more handsome by the year. As it turned out, I married one of the mean girls. Didn't go to her school. Didn't find out she was considered that till after the divorce. That's how it turned out. Then I dated one of the cool chicks. Did go to her school. Did know she was considered that. And she was the most amazing human being I've ever known. That one didn't work out either. Now I'm just retired from relationships for a bit. Strike 3 would kill me right now. Thanks all. This was very therapeutic. I have friends and family that are awesome. Hopefully I'll have more someday. For now it's me and my kids I'm focusing on. Reading these answers about prom kings, head cheerleaders, quarterbacks etc just has me as a Canadian going wow. American high school really is like on TV. The high school experience just really isn't the same here. At least not in my experience. I don't even think our ideas of popular were really the same. Mainly due to how much less important sports are here. I think without football reigning supreme it allows for way more variation for what makes someone popular. My mom was the cool girl all through high school, undergrad, grad school, but life didn't go that well. For most of her life, she had to be caring for someone in the family who was ill, and that took a huge toll on her. First it was her dad, then it was me. I had childhood illnesses, then her in-laws in quick succession, then her dad again, and finally she had to nurse my dad until he passed away from a terminal illness. She was meant to be social and have fun, and instead she was forced to be around sickness and sadness for her best years. But she is a very happy and mentally strong person in general who made the best of things. She hosted a lot of people and events. My house growing up was full of people visiting and having fun. She's very charming and easy to talk to, and has a lot of fans all the time. Though, My siblings and I find her social side rather annoying. She isn't like that with us. And she tells us her charming side is just an act. And the real her is the lady who is constantly critical of us for our own good. She likes having groupies hanging around. People who are happy to take her help and be grateful to her. She has very few friends who could be considered her equals. She also expects a lot from other people and is constantly disappointed. She wants to be the center of everything. She doesn't know to be a guest at anything. She somehow ends up running every event she's invited to. She sincerely believes she's helping, but it's just disrespectful sometimes, and when we tell her that, she doesn't get it. She likes to dominate everything and make decisions for everyone. We joke that if the Prime Minister was her friend, she'd somehow end up running the country for him. I hate to be the one that bursts everyone's bubble, but my husband was the good-looking athletic guy with a great sense of humor that all of the girls adored. I was the petite blue-eyed blonde cheerleader that he chased for all 4 years in high school. We ended up getting together after high school graduation and were engaged 6 months later. I should have kept running from him like I did in school. He's now an addict who is verbally and emotionally abusive. He's a compulsive liar and he's stolen prescription medication from me to get high. He's very jealous and has accused me of having an affair with every male I've ever worked with, all without any merit whatsoever. It got so bad at one point that he told me I needed to quit my job and stay home with my son. Then he criticized me for not having a job. I teach high school English, and he is jealous of my male students because he claims he sees the way they watch me and look at me. He's made my life hell. He criticizes and ridicules me for being a diabetic, saying he never intended to marry a cripple, which is hardly the case. I'm happy to say that he'll be getting served with divorce papers very soon. God help the woman who takes my place because he can't do anything for himself. He's never paid a bill, made his own doctor appointments, etc. He's exhausting. He's also that guy who likes to tell our son what a stud he was in school and how he eventually got the girl he wanted. While dating, he portrayed himself to be the man he thought I would see as husband material. However, I quickly saw it was all an act shortly after we married. If I had it to do over, I would have left the country to avoid him. The only good thing to come out of our marriage is my son. I'm sorry that my story was a nightmare in the bunch. I'm just keeping it real. She's still the nicest and gorgeous girl I ever met. Nothing changed. She is studying to be a pharmacist. That's something no one would guess, since she always loved history and her school didn't have biology or chemistry. We weren't from the same school, but she was one of the most popular girl from the school, neighborhood and university class. I met her on a graduation we both gave up. My brother was the cool kid in his grade, which extra annoyed me because I was a year older and a lot of my friends asked about him. He felt a lot of pressure to stay the coolest kid, so he made a lot of itty choices because doing blow is what the cool kids are doing, I guess. He went to rehab by the time he was 16. He pretty much threw his life away after that and has been in and out of jail and prison since then. 16 years later. 3 people have now commented about me marrying my brother. I did not marry him. He is not my spouse. Be more original. I didn't marry one, but my husband is friends with a few guys that peaked in high school and they feel the need to relive that. Still talking about the championship that got away 20 years ago. I married the cool, outgoing, outdoorsy, sporty high school jock. Turns out he's secretly as geeky and introverted as I am. He's still the same person 25 years later. My brother was one of the hottest guys in high school and went on to be a model. He's still cool and hot to many, but now he's a bit fat. He's my brother, so you won the hot part in my opinion. But women still swoon and he's so obnoxious. Think Matt Dillon, X, era. He got dumped by his model 17 years younger wife for a 26-year-old. He has impossible standards and it's making him miserable. He's into these flashy shallow women. Overall he's doing really well and his business is thriving. I sat next to the popular guy every day pretty much for 5 years and I was so afraid of speaking to him. I'd watched him and his friends picking each other up and shoving the chosen one into lockers, or chasing each other round into a pile-on and throwing their shoes at each other. Typical school ed. They were rowdy and loud and intimidating, but he was the quiet yet seriously funny one and I crushed on him hard for years. He remembers me as the little blonde girl who didn't speak to anyone because I was so anxious all the time. He also protected his sister from some assholes every break time and she'd come to find him for safety from bullies. Should have spoken to him sooner when school finished. Because we have the same music taste and we get on well enough now at 26 that we have a 6-month-old daughter together. My daughter from a previous relationship and we just got engaged last weekend. I adore him. He's handsome, charming and funny and I would do anything for this man as he would for me. I married one of our high school sweethearts. We started dating there in the late 70s. A girl everyone loved. Long straight hair down to her rear end. Smiled all the time. Always in the beauty contestant shows and always generous and friendly. Fast forward to now and she is still good looking and does not look her age of 60. Great mother and grandmother and still as good a person now as she was when I met her in 77. Dated a popular class clown out of high school. Got pregnant. He is and was a pretty big deadbeat. Ended up marrying a nerd a few grades above me. Years later, we have 2 more kids and he is an amazing dad to all 3 of the kids. He is also a goddamn snack and a half. Been together for a decade. Damn, not even any of the cool kids' spouses are on Reddit, Instagram. Not me, but my mom married my dad who was hot it. They met in college when he was an absolute hellion. But since then he became a doctor. Still a really fun dude. He's also a licensed contractor, so when he was bored he built a 6,000 square foot barn in our backyard over 10 years completely on his own. Absolutely stand up dude. He was the one who had the 6-pack who all the girls swooned over. Very popular. I was not. Saw him after just leaving HS and started going out. Ended up getting married in our early 20s. God knows why. I guess we thought it was just what happened next. He never grew up. All he wanted to do was play online games. But I mean constantly. He would get in from work, walk straight past me to the spare room, straight online and play until the early hours. Get a bit of sleep, go back to work. Same thing. Again and again. Never wanted to go anywhere. Just wanted to game. Eventually, I gave him an ultimatum. He chose the game. From what I gather, he's remarried to someone else we went to school with and has 2 kids now. I was told she had to give him an awful lot of ultimatums before he eventually grew up. Not sure if he was necessarily cool, but my dad was prefect and head boy of his school. Got along nicely with everyone and was responsible. They didn't have prom there, so that was the highest honor you could probably get. Worked hard and all and had his classmates help to tutor him. His grades didn't end up great because he came in late to school once and got after school detentions. He would go home late and finish homework overnight, then get up at the crack of dawn to wash his father's bus and be late to school again. More detentions. He dropped out and transferred to another school. Now he's a retired policeman who is working in security to send me and my siblings to school. Does his best still. In my mom's view he's still handsome and she calls him a multitude of cutesy nicknames that he pretends to hate. Life is always as tough as normal, but he keeps going. My sister, first child, was homecoming queen, prom queen, and head cheerleader. She's been a fundamentalist Christian since then and hasn't talked to me since 2006 because I was finally honest and came out. I'm the youngest and the only boy. I idolized her and Jesus got in the way. Edit. For context, I came out at 44 years old. 15 years this month. I am now 59 and she's 64. I have presented an olive branch to her countless times, mostly for my mother's sake, and my sister, the middle child, died recently and I asked that we drop all of this for mom's and my sister's sake. Nothing, man. I just had a wave of sadness and loneliness hit me. I did too. You are all beautiful people. You have touched my heart. Zoxoxo. Fell in love after we met couple of years after graduation. She used to be the cool girl and I was the quiet introvert. Found out apart from being cool, she was also a very loving person. Married her. She gave meaning and purpose to my life. I can get through life only with her beside me. She is still as cool and as hot-headed as she was. Quick to battle anyone and everyone, if she thinks they are wrong, to my dismay. I married the homecoming queen, head cheerleader, and star basketball player. Yes, just one person, at 50. She's still stunning with an amazing drive. We're partners in real estate sales, and she's the engine that keeps our team successful. I just keep trying to not duck it up. As an Asian, seeing all the prom queens and football captain and homecoming kings makes me wonder how different my high school experience was from theirs. Here, the most popular students are the ones who study the most and score the most. It's funny to see how in America, you are scorned and bullied for doing what school is made for, studying. Husband and I went to different schools in different areas of the state. I guess he was kind of the cool bad boy of his school. While I did not know him during that time, I can tell you that we have been together for 24 years and he is the most wonderful husband and father. I think he was grossly misunderstood back then and would love to tell those teachers who basically said he would be nothing off. I always think about this guy in my HS. He was super popular and the best friend of the worst bully I ever had. I won't say his name, but he went on to be a pro football player and I always idolized him because of his actions on one single day. He pulled me aside and told me that he noticed I almost never ate lunch. He gave me $20 and told me to make sure I ate well and that he was sorry he was so mean to me. For anyone who has ever hesitated on apologizing, I will never forget that person and I will never think he didn't deserve his popularity. I was picked on, but bitter. He dated my sister for a while. He was really cool and charming at face value. He tried to abuse my sister. He ended up doing a whole lot of drugs. Bludgeoned his stepmother to death with a Duraflame log. Duck you, Danny. We didn't go to school together, but I married the captain of the cheerleading team. She's a very down-to-earth, good human being who never been one to be elitist or a snob in any way. She does wish she still had her high school body. Who doesn't? But she looks more beautiful to me now than she does in any old pictures. We have a large family and are very happy. Every once in a while I'll be acting goofy with my kids and their friends will give me the side eye and I'll casually drop, "You think I'm a nerd, huh?" Well, maybe so, but I married the captain of the cheerleaders for some reason. This gets me instant credibility with young men. Wiffy was cheerleader back in HS. Homecoming court. etc. She's 46 now. We've been married for 25 years and have 4 kids plus a daughter-in-law. And she's still super freaking hot. Hang on, I'll ask my wife. Cool as duck. More open to new experiences. More love affirming and supportive than ever. Got together when we were 17. We've been together 12 years. I was the prom king. I was a starting athlete in many team sports. I was also ironically barely connected socially to my class and spent a lot of time gaming and eating. I am divorced. Fat and play competitive TG. My ex probably doesn't give a shit about me being the prom king. My wife was super popular. She had a side gig as a model, so had to stop being a cheerleader. She is still friends with most of her old friends. She is the sweetest person in the world. She was then